Hello there, welcome to a special Plus Talk on Plus Life as we get ready to acknowledge World AIDS Day. I am here at the National AIDS Memorial Grove and I am joined by Vice Chancellor of Community and Government Relations for UCSF, Dan Bernal, who's also receiving the Lifetime Commitment Award for all your work in HIV. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Carl.
Thanks
for having
making
me.
the time. I mentioned we're here at the Grove.
Yeah.
Tell me about this place and why it's special to you.
So the Grove was really my first introduction to San Francisco's HIV/AIDS activism community. I moved here in 1999 and quickly became involved with some different organizations, AIDS Emergency Fund in San Francisco, the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, but then did come to be involved with the National AIDS Memorial. I've joined their board. I came and I did a number of work days pulling weeds and planting trees, and it just really became a special place for me. It brings you close to nature, which I think is important, and everybody has a different way that they experience the Grove, whether they're here to remember friends or family members or partners who had been lost, to reconnect with the community that they've been involved with in activism, in providing care. So I think it means a lot of things to different people. After being positive for now 34 years, it fills me with a sense of purpose that I need to carry on and continue to fight and to serve.
Well, let's talk about that. You were diagnosed, as you said, 34 years ago. And a diagnosis, I think, at any age, at any stage, whether it was then, whether it's now, it knocks you down.
Yeah.
You know, how did you get yourself back up 34 years ago when it was still a death sentence? How did you pick yourself up and keep going forward?
Well, it was 1990 and I was in Boston. I was 19 years old. I had just started college. And yeah, it was a punch in the gut. And as you said, it was considered a death sentence, and I just didn't know what to do. I dropped out of college, got a job. I was actually working as a janitor at Deaconess Hospital in Boston. And when I first got my diagnosis, I had 250 T cells, and the next time I went in for a test after a month, I had 200. So, in the 19-year-old mind, I just charted this downward deterioration until I had no more T cells and figured I'd be dead in 4 months. Well, that didn't happen, and what was really fortunate, and almost seems like fate, was when I worked at Deaconess Hospital, there was one of the world's leading HIV researchers, Dr. Jerry Grootman, who worked there, and I was working in and around his labs, sweeping up floors, mopping, taking medical waste out of the autoclaves and things like that. And this job was really only meant to be about a year, and as it came to a close, I mustered the courage to approach Dr. Grootman and ask if I could speak with him. He pulled me into a conference room, and I told him about my experience and what was going on, and he immediately offered to be my physician and to provide care, which I didn't have insurance at the time, that was free of cost at the hospital through their own programs. And he really gave me a lot of hope. And I think one thing that's so important, particularly for people who are longer term survivors, is that physician-patient relationship, because particularly early in the epidemic, caring for people and doing research for HIV was activism. It was almost an act of defiance. You were there shoulder to shoulder, patient and doctor, seeking out new treatments, advocating for research dollars and other things to keep your patients alive. Yeah.
You have dedicated your professional life to public service, which is just so commendable. What was that moment for you that you went, this is my calling, this is what I should be doing?
I think part of it had to do with my diagnosis, that, I began to see the needs that were there and the activism that needed to happen in order to ensure that people had the care and the resources and the support that they needed. I'm sure this is an experience that a lot of long-term survivors have, but you almost feel like you're living on borrowed time. And if you're still here, you have this responsibility to make your time meaningful and to have an impact. So to be here today, 54 years old, at a time where I didn't even think I'd live past my 20s, and to have a career that I really love and I'm grateful for, and to be planning for retirement and all of these different things.
And being able to be excited and look forward to
it. It's I'm so grateful for it.
What has living with HIV for 34 years really taught you about yourself?
I think resilience. I think that, you spend a lot of time in survival mode. You maybe don't experience freedom or joy in the ways that, you might hope you would, or you see other people do, because particularly, getting a diagnosis so young at 19 and in 1990 when things were so different, right? There's a certain amount of shame and self-image that you carry around that can be really hard. And I know that a lot of people, because of that, will deal with depression and other issues too. So, you really, I think, derive a lot of strength. Sometimes you think you have to go it alone a little more than you do. So that's been a learning process for me too, is to learn to rely on friends and family to get me through too.
The internalized stigma is something I still battle with. I've been living with HIV for 17 years, so
Yeah.
not quite as long as you, but
No,
but I still struggle with that internalized stigma and
Yeah.
and getting over that.
Yeah.
Is that an ongoing battle for you too?
Yeah, I think it is, and it's infused into so much of your life that
Yeah.
you really can't distinguish it from your perspective in other ways.
How has living with HIV made your life better?
How has it made my life
Because we
better?
talk about,
Yeah.
I often talk about turning positive into a plus, and I've said this many
Yeah.
times. There are, in so many ways, HIV and my HIV diagnosis saved my life,
Yeah.
and gave me a big old new perspective on life.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was so young. It's hard to determine that because it's been my entire adult life. I think that it has given me a sense of purpose. I think it has filled me with gratitude about the experiences and the people in my life, and the opportunities that I've had in a way that maybe other people don't experience.
When you think back over the years of living with HIV and your work in public
Yeah.
service, what are you most proud of in the field of how far we've come with HIV and your work?
Yeah, well, I've certainly sought out opportunities to make a contribution in health and HIV/AIDS. The biggest among those, of course, is the opportunity of a lifetime to work with Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I was her chief of staff in San Francisco for 22 years, and I recognize that I would not be alive today were it not for her leadership and some of her colleagues in the Congress. So she made her commitment very clear, and the opportunity to work with her and to see her in action and the way that she has carried that commitment forward through her career and the opportunity to support her in that. Again, it was just the privilege of a lifetime. Now being at UCSF, I feel the same. It took a lot to, imagine myself doing something else after 22 years.
The theme of this year's World AIDS Day is collective action, sustain and accelerate HIV progress.
Okay.
Why is it more important than ever that we are not taking our foot off the gas pedal at this point when it comes to stopping HIV and AIDS?
Well, an end of HIV and AIDS is in sight for us.
Yeah.
There's continued research happening at UCSF and other places looking towards a cure, but also new innovations in prevention, like long-term injectables now for PrEP. It's really within our grasp.
Yeah.
And we still need breakthroughs. We still need people who are doing the research, receiving the education, providing the care, and all of that just feeds into what I hope I will see in my lifetime, which is an AIDS-free generation.
What do you hope that people stop and give some thought and some consideration to on this World AIDS Day?
On this World AIDS Day, I hope people will stop and give some appreciation, not only to their own experience and how HIV and AIDS have touched their lives, but also just the courage and the commitment of all of the caregivers for decades, whether they be nurses, doctors, family members, friends, and the impact it's had on their lives too. I also know that there are people who maybe don't have the experiences or resources that I have to fight that way. So I have a lot of appreciation for the caseworkers and the care navigators and the social workers and again the nurses and the physicians who really provide that support, because I think what really breaks my heart is to know that someone, whether they're struggling with HIV or another illness or something else going on in their life, feel alone.
Yeah, I like that you shout out that sort of the case managers and the people that
Yeah.
help you navigate those often multiple complicated hoops
Yeah.
to getting on treatment when you're initially diagnosed, especially if you're a young person who's perhaps not out
Yeah.
and feels completely alone. So you are receiving the Lifetime of Commitment Award at the Light in the Grove ceremony, which is an incredible event that happens every year, and it's so important to our community. Tell us a bit about the event and the fact that you're accepting this award at this event and what it means to you.
I think what's really great about Light in the Grove is it's on the eve of World AIDS Day. And World AIDS Day is a time where we reflect on the progress we've made, the challenges that are ahead, recognize people certainly who have made great contributions in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Light in the Grove is an opportunity really more to celebrate the progress we've made, to honor people who have really been leaders in the fight against HIV/AIDS, and it's just beautiful. And I think that there's a lot of power in visibility and representation. And because of that, I've done everything I can to live very openly as a person living with HIV. And I think that, whether it's in my role with Speaker Pelosi or when I was president of the San Francisco Health Commission or now at UCSF, I think that can be a really powerful symbol, particularly for others who are living with HIV, that, we live productive lives, can make contributions, and that really, nothing's out of reach.
Yeah.
So that's important to me.
Well, and it's well deserved and well earned. Dan, thank you for making the time to join me here in this very special place. This has been a pleasure.
Yeah, for me too.
Lovely. That's going to do it for this Plus Talk on Plus Life. If you want more information, you can go to our website, pluslifemedia.com. And remember, you can like, follow, and share across all your favorite social platforms. We are at Plus Life Media. Until next time, from the National AIDS Memorial Grove, I'm Karl Schmid. See you soon. Bye-bye.